Good morning, everyone. It's Gary at Soccer Pro, and today I have Dustin Capper with me from PayKings, and we're going to be talking about how you can save a bucket load of money by using the proper merchant account and having a direct relationship with your merchant account so that you don't have a third-party intermediary reaching into your bank account and extracting funds without adding value. So welcome, Dustin. If you could just tell our audience a little bit more about yourself and what you do in the credit card processing industry.
Hey everyone, I'm Dustin Capper with PayKings, and PayKings is a merchant account provider. We help businesses get their own merchant accounts set up for their business, for their website online. If you have an online site and you're accepting money, these transactions require payment processing, and that allows you to have control of your own funds. At PayKings, we help you through the application process. It's short, it's quick, and we take some specifics about your company to open up your bank account so you can be in control of your finances.
All right, fantastic. Now, what we're going to do in this episode is we're going to keep this at a very simplistic level because there's a lot of different minutia that goes into processing a credit card that most people don't know about. And frankly, you won't care. It doesn't matter. Because what you really care about is the ability for someone to come to your business, whether it's in person or on a website, give you a credit card, have you process the credit card, that gets accepted or declined by the merchant account or the gateway. Again, we're not going to try to nitpick here. We're just going to call it a merchant account. So it either gets accepted or rejected. And if it's accepted, that money then gets put directly into your bank account. In contrast, many systems out there doing free registration are coming in as an intermediary. In other words, the credit card comes to your business, it goes to their business, they do the processing, they get the money from the credit card company, then they give you, your money, minus a percentage of it and a transaction fee, which is really a non-value added process step that you don't need to take. So what Dustin is going to tell you is how you can eliminate that third-party intermediary, eliminate those fees, and have that money put directly into your account without that extra non-value add cost that you're incurring today. So when a business, a soccer club, wants to get a merchant account, what are the different factors that you're going to look at, and what type of application are they going to have to fill out in order to get one? And then just talk a little bit about the typical business, let's say the typical soccer club, and what they can expect.
Right. Well, great question, Gary. When talking about soccer clubs specifically, we're going to look at anything else that we look at with major businesses. With soccer clubs, we find that they have a longer history of being operational. And best of all, they have very low fraud. They have low chargebacks. It's these factors that would really make a merchant account different in the eyes of the bank that they're signing up for. So at PayKings, we gather information just through an online application, and we'll look at something like your sales volume, how long you've been operational. We also look at whether or not they have high ticket sales. So if your average sale on your account is $100 versus $1,000, these things make a difference. But overall, at PayKings, we deal with high risk businesses. We also onboard low risk businesses. In this case, any soccer club would be a low risk business, which means that you don't have to pay the premiums that these other payment processors are charging. The other payment processors, how they work, it's called an aggregate account, and they pool every single business together, and they'll charge a higher premium, sometimes up to 4 and 5% for payment processing. Just to give you an example of how you can leverage your sales volume to decrease your processing rates, what you can do is think about how much revenue you bring in per month. Let's say you have $100,000 in revenue that you're bringing in through your website every month. Well, if you're getting charged 4% on that, that's going to be a pretty substantial fee. Whereas if that's the size of your merchant account, we can get it as low as 1% in certain cases, saving you $3,000 a month, essentially, in your fees, just because you now have your own merchant account.
Right. Now, there's two aspects, though, that we talk about. One is going to be the percentage, which you addressed, from going maybe 4% down to 1%. And some of these things some of these aggregators are charging as much as 4.5% that I've seen online and advertised. Now, the other aspect is going to be a transaction fee. And a transaction fee is different than a percentage because a percentage comes off of the dollar amount. So $100 fee, a 4% charge is $4. If it's a 1% fee, it's $1. That's pretty simple. Now, on a $10 charge, it's going to be 40 cents or 10 cents as a percentage. But you always have your transaction fee. And your transaction fee is a fixed fee regardless of the charge amount. So a $100 charge might incur a 20-cent transaction fee. A $10 charge will incur the same 20-cent transaction fee. And this is where the aggregators will really overcharge because they're charging a $2 transaction fee. So whether it's a $10 transaction or a $100 transaction or a $1,000 transaction, you're still paying that fixed $2 fee. Now, where does that really come into play? Anytime you have a subscription. So if you are allowing your members to pay on a recurring subscription basis, like 3 easy payments monthly, every 2 weeks, whatever that is, the higher the frequency or the higher the number of payments, the larger your transaction fee bill is going to be, because there's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, for whatever number of transactions that is, even though the dollar amount will be the same, whether it's 10 charges of $100 or 1 charge of $1,000. I kind of got long-winded there explaining that. But Dustin, if you could just go back and talk about, we've got the percentage fee and then the transaction fee. What would a typical transaction fee be that a soccer club should expect to pay?
Well, it's going to vary business to business. So I don't want to make a quote right now on the exact fee, but it really does depend, like I mentioned, on
would you say $2? Let me ask you this way. Would you say $2 is probably not what they will be paying?
Oh my gosh, that's excessive. Yeah, it should be a range from 10 to 20 cents tops. It varies per transaction, but you shouldn't be paying upwards of 30 cents per transaction fee.
Mm-hmm. Now, something else you said that I want people to key in on is you talked about the longevity of the business. There are a lot of factors that will go into how low they can push your rate down, because it's based on your credit score. It's based on, like Dustin said, the transaction amounts and how much business you're transacting, et cetera. But one of the other things is that you have to look at fraud, and fraud rates for a soccer club are very low because your product is the coaching and the kids have to show up for it. It's not like Amazon, where they are shipping you a box to a house and that house might be a stolen address and they steal the box off the porch, or they just deny that they ever got delivery. That's a high fraud opportunity. Coaching kids is very low fraud because you can't fake a kid. I mean, the kid's either there or they're not. And then the second thing is going to be, like Dustin said, the duration of your business. So if you are a soccer club that's been around for 10, 20, 30 years, you have proven stability, which is also going to push your rates down. What other factors now, Dustin, can a soccer club expect to work in their benefit to push that rate down?
Well, a big factor is whether or not they operate in the United States. So for PayKings, it really helps that you have somebody that's a United States resident and somebody that business has been operating domestically for many years. So that's a big factor we find out. We deal internationally as well, but you really outlined the top factors themselves. It's the sales volume and how long you have a trusted history, and chargeback rates. As you said, chargebacks will be ineffectual when it comes to the soccer industry because, well, it's hard to have fraud in the case of people showing up to practice. So the point I really want to drive home is that the application process to getting your merchant account is very simple. And all you have to do is go online, find a payment processor that'll work with your company, and you'll be able to leverage your sales volume. Now, a lot of the larger companies, PayPal, Square, Stripe, they have set rates, usually around 3% with higher transaction fees. Whereas a company like PayKings, we have the ability to customize your account. And if you have been working for a while in the industry or have higher sales volume, you have to make sure you leverage those to your benefit in order to save percentages that'll result in profit down the line.
Now, the other thing that I want people to understand is that what Dustin is presenting is not some sort of new age voodoo. Okay. This isn't like investing in Bitcoin or some other thing that like, wow, this is crazy. This is new age. This is new world AI digital. What he's describing is a very stable, traditional, long-term type of operation. What they are doing at PayKings is no different than the millions and millions of e-commerce businesses online today. In fact, what he's talking about is the standard way of doing it. Okay. That is the most popular, the most standard way of doing it. He's not talking about something that you have to scratch your head and go, wow, am I taking on extra risk? Am I going to be a trendsetter, or am I blazing the path and going to take all the hits? No, what you're doing is just doing what everyone else is doing, what PayKings is doing day in, day out for the last 20 years. Or you go ahead. Why don't you say how long you've been doing this?
Yeah, we've been operating since 2011. So yeah, we're 10 years. It's good estimation there in business. So really, it's not a new concept. Every online business has a merchant account in some form. The ones that have their own merchant account have that for good reason, because it saves them money. There are these aggregates, and there's these technologies that'll say, oh, hey, come join our program or sign up with our software, and they make premiums from your revenue, which is a very impractical way to run your own business, especially considering how easy it is to set up your own merchant account and monitor your own purchases through a payment gateway and understand through your own portal where your money's going and how it's traveling to and from your bank. There's just a lot of benefits to opening a merchant account, and it's status quo really in e-commerce now. Nobody would want to go through a third party in order to make payments happen, because the integrations are simple, and really there's no tricks. It's an industry standard that you have your own business bank account.
Yeah, I like that term you use, just industry standard. I could have saved about 5 minutes of conversation had I just used those two terms. All right. Now, Dustin, a lot of times we think that everyone understands this whole merchant account process, because we've been involved in this for a long time. Certainly with us being in the e-commerce space, since 2006, and you guys have been PayKings since 2011. So for us, this is old hat. It's very basic. But do me a favor and just explain let's call it the overall process that takes place for businesses when they want to accept a credit card. Okay, let's just break this down at the very simple level, very basic level for these folks. Okay.
All right. Yeah. So if you want to accept a credit card, it's either going to be in person or online. For the most part, we deal with helping online businesses, people who go to your website and want to make that transaction. So step one is having a website. You can have a bunch of different ways to set up your website, whether it's Shopify or BigCommerce. There's just a number of different platforms that'll help you build your website. And our technology integrates with most of them. So your next step after that is having products listed on your site. We'll review your products and your offerings with the bank. There's really
Dustin, you're getting off into the e-commerce a little bit.
I see.
Really, these guys are not really e-commerce as much as registration. So when they're coming through a system like Soccer Pro or any other registration system, I shouldn't say any other, because everyone else is using this aggregation, which is charging them way too much. But Soccer Pro is one of the only places that works like a Shopify. It works like a BigCommerce or a Wix or any of these
I see. Okay.
platforms. The difference is that we have registration specific flows, so that it includes your waivers, your medical waivers, your image waivers, your, let's say, releases, anything you want to put in there, and then also gets them into your system. So as far as the website's concerned, you can use anything. You can use an iPad, you can use your phone, you can use a desktop. Anything that you can give someone in an electronic format, you can have these order pages, okay, through Soccer Pro. And then what happens with the actual payment, now that's where Dustin comes in. That's where Dustin and PayKings come in. So you've got your front-facing, let's call it, website or place that people go to pay you. It's an order page. And then that's when it starts going into Dustin. So let's take this from the point where they come to the order page, they enter their information, they enter their registration information, their billing address, they put in their credit card number. And now what's happening after that? What is the club going to experience after their customer puts that information into the club's order page?
All right. So there's a few technical things that happen in the background there. But when you have your own merchant account, it's very different than a third-party software. So after that order page, the transaction is then sent through a payment gateway, an easy integration that we at PayKings have. You upload on your website, and it works seamlessly. After that, it'll go to your bank, your acquiring bank, and then send information. And that information just involves validating credit cards. It makes sure that the person using the credit card is the one that is making the transaction. So in terms of what the merchant will see is very little. A lot of this happens behind the stage and in a matter of seconds. So there's no complexities to really dealing with a merchant account or understanding. It's just simply acknowledging that the funds have been received and then tracing those transactions through a software.
Right. And that's the key. It all happens in the background. Nobody knows it's happening. And this is pretty much the same process, whether you are going through your own merchant account or whether you are using a payment aggregator. The experience is very similar, that it's all transparent. Nobody even knows it's happening. The credit card gets entered, they hit submit, and then the answer comes back from the merchant account or the payment gateway, whatever you want to call it, instantaneous. And from a club's perspective, the order gets processed, the credit card gets charged, and the money is directly deposited right into their checking account or savings account, whatever they've linked to that merchant account, right?
Exactly. Yeah, there's no different steps to it. There's nothing that even the merchant would have to update or understand. It's really just consumer facing at that point. You look at the transactions in your bank account and it operates flawlessly.
And the other part is maintenance. Once someone has a merchant account with PayKings and they take their API key and transaction key and they copy it and they paste it into a system like Soccer Pro and they start taking payments. I know the answer to this, but I want everyone else to know the answer to this. How much maintenance will they need to do to keep those transactions flowing?
There's no maintenance. You just explained it with the two steps. It really is just a copy and paste. And after that, it's fully functional and operational. So once the information's in on their website or through the platform, it's ready to set sail. Yeah.
Yeah. And folks, I know the answer to that question. It's actually one of the things that really kind of boggles my mind that people are still using this old style because it's been obsolete for 20 years. And I've been preaching this message. And then I wonder, do people believe that it's really that easy? But the truth is what Dustin just said. It is that easy. I mean, it's copy, paste, two pieces of information, and then you never do anything for the rest of the time that you feel like it. I mean, if you want to change to a different company, if at some point in time you feel like there's someone else giving you a better rate, fine. Delete those two pieces of information, copy and paste the other two pieces of information from someone else, and that's it. But otherwise, you set it, you forget it, and you go on with your business, you go on with your coaching, you go on with everything you care about other than having to maintain your business credit card account because it's all automatic. They charge it, the money goes in, goes right to your checking account, you do nothing.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. There's really almost no maintenance unless there's some sort of software update. But from the merchant accounts, and it's been the same for many years. So I don't imagine that there'll be any mass changes going on in the industry.
Right. And even when there are updates to the industry, and there have been some things where they've increased the security levels, changed the security levels, that sort of thing. But the platform takes care of that. And I'm not just talking about Soccer Pro, I'm talking about everyone, okay? Shopify, BigCommerce, Wix, you name a platform, and everyone does it the same way. Everyone gets notified by the merchant accounts or the gateways, and they say, look, you've got 6 months to make this change. And usually the changes are not complicated. Everyone just runs off, follows the directions that they get from the gateway, and it's all the same. There's no creativity to this. Everyone follows the exact same security protocols because they're dictated to the platform, right? Soccer Pro doesn't invent them. Shopify doesn't invent them. They get told, here's what you do to create this link. And then we just follow that. And that's it. So as far as the end user is concerned, there's really nothing. It's just that simple. Now, I keep talking about how easy this is, but we haven't talked about how people can get started. All right. So if someone's made it this far, they've probably understood that all they need is the account. They need the application to get the account. If they have been in business for any amount of time, they will get an advantageous rate. If they are a brand new club, they can still get an account, but the reality is they're probably going to pay a little bit more. How do they get started with you, Dustin? What's the best, easiest way for them to contact you and get this merchant account so they can start saving money?
The best way to reach us is through our website, paykings.com. And the actually subdomain we have for that is paykingsget-started. So we have a form you can fill out. Just ask for your name and email, and our sales team will be in contact with you. We also have our application online, so you can get started whenever you want and fill out the information just to get a jump on the game.
And Dustin, a lot of these guys are busy. So if they need some help from customer support, you guys help them in the application process?
Absolutely. Yeah. Our sales team is always ready to help, and they'll walk you through any questions you might have, any parts of the application process that might be confusing, but it's all very straightforward. Anyway, PayKings team is there for you.
All right, fantastic. Well, you know what? Lastly, I want to ask this question. Is there anyone that you can think of for any reason that is a soccer club that would not be eligible to get their own merchant account and would need to use the aggregators? Who are the people that should not even bother trying to get a merchant account?
I can't think of any soccer club that would not be capable or be rejected by a bank. It's a pretty straightforward industry that they're in. So yeah, for that, I think it's definitely worth applying.
Okay, fantastic. All right, Dustin, one more time. What's the best, easiest way to get a hold of you?
You just contact us through www.paykings.com.
All right.
Yeah, you can find us there.
That's PAYKINGS.com, paykings.com, right?
That's it.
All right. Well, Dustin, I really appreciate you taking the time to educate our audience about how merchant accounts work and how they can save money with you guys. And while we're talking about PayKings, the reality is there are other merchant accounts out there that you can go and work with. I can tell you that we've been working with PayKings for a long time through our other e-commerce business through CloudNet 360. And also we have them set up inside of Soccer Pro. And there's a reason we do that. And we have a long-term relationship. They've been very reliable. And sometimes a merchant account can be a little bit of a commodity business because it comes down to everyone's getting the same service in the end. It's all automatic. And then it's down to the rate, which matters, but there's also a customer service aspect to it. And one of the great things we like about PayKings is just the fantastic customer service our end users have always received. And we've always gotten great compliments from our users about their experience with PayKings. So again, Dustin, thank you for coming out. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
All right. And I appreciate you having me. Thank you, Gary.
All right. Have a great day now. Bye.
All right. Same to you.